Welcome to another episode of the Being and Doing podcast, where I'm curious to find interesting people with interesting stories whose stories will potentially inspire and make you question and maybe discover a new corner in your being. And today, I am really, really delighted to be joined by someone, as I told her, I wake up with and go to bed every night, and that's Karen Drucker. And I would like to introduce her through her songs, which is what I go to bed and wake up with every morning. And then I would like to just get to know her better through this interview. So welcome, Karen.
Thank you for having me. So yeah, let's start off with a song. What do I feel like playing? You know what? I think because this is how I think we were introduced is from our dear friend Robin Posen, who I adore. And I guess you do too. So this is a song this is a chant. So what I do, what my main thing is doing chants. And what a chant is, for your listeners who might not know, a chant is something that just repeats over and over so that you kind of bypass your little chattering mind and you can just sing these affirmational words over and over. So this is a chant that I wrote that I was beating myself up for something. And I called up a friend of mine and I said, "You wouldn't believe this stupid thing I did." And she said, "Stop it right there. I will not have you talk to my friend that way." Those are the kind of friends we need. And so she said, "Would you ever imagine speaking to a child the way you're speaking to yourself right now?" And I went, "Oh, yes." And I hung up the phone and I started to just rock myself and said, "What do I need to say to myself?" And it was like, I will be gentle with myself. I will treat myself like a child. And on my bulletin board was one of Robin Posen's beautiful little affirmation cards. And what I had up there was, "I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go." And when I was writing this chant, I called Robin and said, "Could I use that line and give you credit in this song for that wonderful line?" So it goes like this. "I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself." Now, unfortunately, you can't sing along with me because we're delayed. So you have to just mute yourself. So I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. Hold my heart. Hold my heart like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. And I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. Now here's Robin's words. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. 'Cause now I know. And I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I'll rock myself. I'll rock myself like a newborn baby child. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I will rock myself like a newborn baby child. All right, let's affirm and say, I am gentle. I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself. And I love myself. I love myself like a newborn baby child. I I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself. And I love myself like a newborn baby child. And I hold myself. And I hold myself like a newborn baby child. Let's end with I love myself. And I love myself like a newborn baby child.
Thank you. I'm starting to trying to notice where do I want to start, and I actually want to share with you how all of this came to be because it's kind of miraculous, actually. So I got to know about Robin seeing her book and exactly that sentence in a therapist's office, and then I got to know about Robin, and then I went on a therapy retreat where someone shared us with us your songs. And it really it was exactly this song, which is very interesting. And then it all the time I was listening to this lyric and I was just sitting with like, is this Robin's lyrics or is this by accident? Or and then eventually I asked Robin what's going on here. And what I was always sitting with curious is what's going on for you as you create this? Um, where do you find that gentleness um, inside of you to actually be able to speak from it?
Well, what I always say whenever I do a concert is I say, you get to see what all my issues are, because that's what I sing about. And so to say, where do I get that gentleness? These are all messages that I feel like it's my spirit, my higher power, my inner child, my soul that speaks to me through lyrics and through music. And so
Mhm.
these are all my own lessons, because do I have being gentle with myself down? Not at all. And that's what cracks me up
Mhm.
sometimes. I will find myself beating myself up, and then I wind up guilt tripping myself, going, "Well, wait a minute, but you're the one who sings. I will be gentle with myself. What are you doing, you idiot?" But it's a constant. Every all my songs are all messages to myself of what it is that I'm trying to affirm in my life and practice. So, am I gentle all the time? Not at all.
Mhm.
But I can sing a song like that and it can bring me back to that. I mean, that's really what all my songs are about. Everything brings you back to center. So, if
Mhm.
you're going off track, I write these songs to myself, and I guess people agree with what
Resonate.
I'm saying to myself if they're listening to it. But it's like, to me, they're all reminders of going, how do I bring myself back to my center in a gentle way? So
Mm.
that's what these songs are about.
And how did music come into your life? Was it always this
Not at
music?
No, not at all. I was a competitive swimmer. I was training for the Olympics. I still swim. I swim every day. I was a hardcore athlete. Still am.
Mhm.
And I had just a kind of like what you're talking about, of just a magical situation of me and Robin and you and all this stuff. When I was growing up, I lived in Hollywood, California, and the singer songwriter Carole King moved in on my street, and I was the babysitter for all the kids on the street, all the little ones. And she moved down, a couple of houses down, and I just marched down to her house one day, knocked on the door, and said, "Hi there, I babysit for everybody. If you want me to babysit." And she said, "Oh, good. I have a maid here, but she needs time off." And because of meeting Carole King right at the height of her success as a songwriter, with getting Grammy Awards and Tapestry and all that, I was hanging out at her house every day. And she knew I wanted to learn about music, but I was 15 years old. I had no musical background whatsoever. And it turned out that she was remodeling her recording studio at one point. And I came home and her piano was in my bedroom, because she had talked to my mom. She needed to have some place to store it for a couple months. And my mom said, I think she would love to have that. And wait a minute, let me just press OK that it's being recorded. Yes. And so anyway, so her piano was in my room. And all of a sudden, it was like I was forced to teach myself how to play piano. And I started to write these little teenage angst kind of songs. And I was terrible. But all of a sudden, music just came alive in me. Like, this is what I wanted to do, was just play music all day long. And I taught myself how to play piano and write songs and sing. And that's how it all started.
And as I'm listening to you, it sounds very easy. And I'm
No,
thinking, and I'm thinking of all the perfectionists and all the people who like to push themselves, who just say, "Oh yeah, I just spend this like every day learning piano, but it was a piece of cake."
no, it
So
was
I'm
not a
just
piece of cake.
thinking,
But I'll tell you, this is what I think is so interesting about life is that my life up until that point, as I said, was being a swimmer. And so I swam 4 hours a day, 2 hours before school, 2 hours after school. And all that discipline from swimming went into teaching myself. And also, the thing is, I'm really learning about discipline these days and realizing that when discipline, I don't even like that word, but the idea of putting your attention into something, it's got to have joy in it. If you're making it like, I've got to go do this thing, I've got to teach myself how to play piano. Well, it was like this box opened up in my heart of just the love of music. And oh my God, you mean I could sit down and play some chords and, make music and do it by myself and come up with little lyrics. And it was so joyful that I spent hours. I would cut all my classes. I went to Hollywood High. I would cut all my classes and go to the music room and just sit there and just be immersed in writing songs and learning how to play it. So, it easy? No, but it was so joy filled that I spent hours and hours and hours doing it.
yeah. And then two things are coming as you're speaking. One is I'm seeing how alive you are. And I'm wondering what fuels your life spark. And then I will ask the second question.
Passion, it's got to be that I mean, it's in all my, I do women's retreats. That's a lot of what my work is. And I'm always talking about the concept of when you see cement and you see a little flower coming up in the crack of that
Mm.
cement, that's to me what life is. That's to me what your spirit is. That to me is your what we are all here for, is to just be
Mm.
expressive, whatever that means, whether it's baking a cake, being a good mom, being a teacher, doing this podcast, whatever it is, it's our contribution to this planet while we're here
Mm.
to do what it is that we do. And I'm so incredibly blessed that I found this path, because I was so frustrated before and I never understood why. I was a rock and roll singer and a blues singer playing in blues bars and playing weddings and, all these. And it wasn't until I found this path of writing spiritual music and writing healing music, especially for people going through cancer, that I found my path. And as soon as I did, it was like all that anxiety just went away. It was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I don't even care how many people hear me. I don't care about being famous. I don't care about how much money. It's about that this is what I'm supposed to do. And
Mm.
so that's the passion that you're seeing, is that, I'm on my path. That's all it is. And I have no idea where the path is going to lead. I have no
Mm.
idea. I just keep putting one foot in front of the other and seeing what is being called of me next.
Mm. I find it really interesting. Again, Miraculous, the book I was reading, which I told you I started crying about, was actually written by a woman who had cancer. And the writing was finished by her friend. So it's a book which kind of traverses their lives. So I'm actually curious, why cancer, and what personal meaning does it have? Or
My
if
mother,
it
well, both
has.
parents are gone, and both of them died from cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And so my father many, many years ago, but my mother about 15 years ago. And just being with her, really walking that path with her. And And what inspired me the most was I was writing positive message music at this point. I mean, I was already had a few albums out of this. But when I would take her to go in for her chemo treatments, and she would be sitting in a room with, this sterile, awful colors on the wall, no pictures, an old funky TV set in the corner. And I just kept thinking, why wouldn't it be when you're infusing your body with, these chemicals to help you? Would you not be also infusing your mind with positive images and affirmations of saying I'm healed, whole, and healthy? And one of the main things that inspired me was my mother never said, I'm a cancer victim. She would always say her affirmation was, I am healed, whole, and healthy. She just said that every day. And so I heard that and I went, well, there's a chant. So I wrote this little thing for her. I am healed, whole, and healthy. I relax and visualize. I am healed, whole, and healthy. I am well. I am well. Then another verse was, I am healed, whole, and healthy. Angels are watching over me. I am healed, whole, and healthy. I am well. All is well. So I recorded this for her with all different lyrics of, I've got love surrounding me, whatever. And I recorded this for her so that she could listen to this over and over while she was getting her chemo treatments. And that just inspired a bunch of other healing songs. And it's just, I think that when I've had people say at 2:00 in the morning, when I'm in the hospital and my surgery is the next day, and now all my family's gone away and no one's with me, and my mind is going into monkey mind nervousness. When I've gotten emails from people saying, I just put on one of your songs and I just play it on repeat over and over, and it just calms me down. That's all the validation I need to keep doing that kind of music. And so, I do all kinds of music. I mean, I write regular songs and full songs, but these chants, especially the healing chants, when I know that it is serving someone in that way, it also bypasses my inner critic, because I can go in the studio and go, oh, you're not good enough and you don't sing well enough and these songs are stupid and blah, blah, blah. But when I know that there's a higher purpose to what I'm doing, it pulls me out of that stuff to the point of I can just tell my inner critic, back off. I have a bigger vision here, a bigger vision of what it is that I'm doing with this song than listening to you. So that's a lot of what my passion is about.
And it's really funny. As I'm sitting in front of you, I feel so much as if I know you and I don't, because of that.
Yeah.
If you feel so familiar and yet so distant at the same time, as if you were with me, as I said many times. But I'm wondering, you spoke about women retreats, and I know about it, and but I kind of want to naively ask, how did that come to be, and what is it that was in the internal spark to start doing that?
Well, I'll backpedal on that question by telling you another little story that leads into that. So I was on the first American women's relay team to swim the English Channel. And so I have a thing about England, I'll tell you right now. I am an
Okay.
England fanatic. I've been there a few times. I wish I could go there more. That was the biggest disappointment in the pandemic, is I was supposed to do a women's retreat in England. And that was the first thing that got canceled, and my heart just broke. But hopefully I will be back. But the reason I'm bringing up the English Channel is that when you swim the English Channel, you're standing on the shore of Dover looking over at Calais, France, and all you see is water for days. But it's 22 miles straight across, but you don't go straight across. You have to go in a zigzag all the way across, which makes it about 32 miles. So each woman swims an hour at a time. So you go like this, then I was here, then another, and you do that. And that really describes my life to a T, because there's no way I had women's retreats. There's no way I had singing positive message music and having you say to me, oh, I listen to you every day. That wasn't even on my radar. I was a rock and roll singer. I was trying to be another Carole King and get my songs published in Los Angeles, and doing all that. And how life just does this little thing of just going in all these different directions. And I was singing, I moved up to San Francisco at one point, and I was singing in all these different clubs. And somehow a friend of mine called and said, "Could you sub for me at this, this New Thought church?" And a New Thought church means it's a positive message church. It's unity churches or religious science churches. And it was like, what am I going to do on a Sunday? I don't know about church. I don't do church. But she said, well, I'll pay you $100. What else are you going to do that morning? So I just showed up and started to sub for her more often, and wound up becoming the music director of this place, and wound up just going, wow, I can write songs that people are listening to every week. So that was one direction. Then I started making albums. Then I started to align with some famous authors. And that was completely out of the blue. I started to read books like what you're reading right now, and they would be saying some of the lines out of my songs, and I would just write to them. I would just kind of like throw out a little pebble into the lake and just go, I have a song that says exactly what you said in this chapter. Would, if you want to use it for your workshops, go ahead. And so I would do that, and I still continue to do that. So when I hear about anyone doing retreats or anybody using my music, I send more. I'm thrilled that they do it. But I used to work with a wonderful woman named Joan Borisenko, one of my good friends, fabulous author. She has so many wonderful books out that I highly recommend to your readers. And I would just do the music for her and do the music for Alan Cohen and all these different people that had all these books out and they were famous, but I would be their musician. And so when they would take a break, I would sing a few songs, or if I would play underneath their meditations or whatever. And, eventually what happened, and I love how life does this, I was doing a lot of women's retreats with Joan, and it's just basically Joan's the star and I'm just doing music. But she started to say, well, why don't you take this segment? I'm gonna go take a rest. You take it for an hour. And I started to do this more and more. And there was even one retreat that she said, I can't even show up. I'm sick. Can you take over the whole retreat? And it was like, ah! But I did. And I went, wow, this is really great. And all of a sudden, and this is what I'm talking about when you're talking about passion and being on your path, all of a sudden, everything that I did up to that point, I was a comedian, I was a songwriter, I was a producer, I had done workshops. Everything that I had done in the past all went into this formula of doing women's retreats. And so now I travel around the country doing women's retreats and doing concerts and speaking at different, New Thought churches or conferences or wherever. But the women's retreats I just really love because it's all about transformation. You just see people transform within a day and their faces look different. And it's so fulfilling to me.
And what do you think is transformed? What do you think changes?
Well, I have a song, one of the songs I wrote for someone going through cancer, that I love doing sign language. And the sign language to the song is, I am beautiful. I am powerful. I've let go of my past and I celebrate who I've become. And in sign language, who I've become is just boop, like that. And that's what transformation can be. It can be that you're working on an issue for so long and you're working on it and you read books and you go to workshops and you talk about it all the time. But all of a sudden you get in the right environment of a container of love. And that's all what my retreats are. I just set up the container. It's not like I'm up there lecturing for 3 days. I set up the container for women to get it for themselves. And through that container of love, they can just go, oh, wow, that
I
issue is no
let go.
longer.
Yeah, it's
I let go.
interesting. One of my paintings, which I'll show you when we end, is actually done with that song. Um, so
Oh,
and
I'd love
and
to see that.
I know exactly the moment when I was listening to, and I know exactly the moment of when there was the lyric, "I'm letting go of my past."
Oh,
So
wow.
it's really, as I say, like your music is so much part of who I am right now. But what I was also with, I'm also with your multiplicity and curiosity and expressivity. And I'm wondering, was there a time where that was really difficult? And what was your support?
Yeah, there was a time when it was really difficult because I didn't have a place to express it.
Ah,
I think that's the biggest key for everybody, that has any kind of, what am I doing with my life? It's like, it was almost like, I always look at my life like there's this tube in me. This might sound kind of weird, but there's this tube in me. And when I have any emotions, any anger, any kind of stuff, it's like it clogs the tube. So that's one of the reasons why I swim, why I sing, why I walk in nature. It's like when I do any of those things, it's like the tube just empties. Especially swimming in cold water in the ocean. I swim in the San Francisco Bay, and you just get out and you just feel totally just clear and free. But there were many years when I was singing. I mean, at least I was singing. That was great, because I mean, there were times before that I had all these, just regular jobs that was just like so not me. But then, when I did start singing, and again, the zigzag path, I got this job as a singer in a hotel, singing, playing piano in the lobby, or it is in a bar or something like that. And I was thrilled. I was thrilled. I was like, a professional musician. Isn't this great? Until I wasn't,
mm,
I mean, again, that's the zigzag. It's like, I'm doing this. Oh my God, I'm thrilled. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm just getting tired and bored. And I know that there's something more for me, but I don't know what it is. And I'm frustrated, but I can't quit because this is the only way I'm making my living. And it's just these circles that you can get in. So how do you break the circle is usually what happens. And, I just realized at that moment, it's like, I know there's something more for me, but I don't know what it is. And I have no way of seeing what it is. I was so stuck, but I just kept affirming that there must be something more. So
mm,
I wrote a song years ago called The Call of Something More. And the lyric says, I feel the call of something more. I feel the call to be someone I've never been before. I feel the call of something more, and it's asking me, what am I here for? What am I here for? And I really looked at that and went, really, what am I here for? Am I supposed to be playing in a bar to a bunch of drunk guys that? And I think that that's where faith and hope and spirit and spiritual practices come into play, because I had no idea of where I was going to go. I would literally go to the bathroom on my breaks and cry. And, you know, but it was one of the turning points in my life of learning this lesson that I've implemented all the way through my many years of being on this planet now, which is you have to act as if that thing that you want is already here, and start planning for it, even without any signs that it's there. One of my favorite lines, I wish I could quote it directly. I should really memorize it. But out of the movie Under the Tuscan Sun, did you ever see that movie?
no,
Oh my God, you got to go see
I
that movie.
promise.
It's a Netflix. I mean, you get on Netflix or whatever. But anyway, it's a great movie. But there's this line, there's this part in the movie where she's in this place of like, I don't know what to do and where to go, and everything's falling apart. And this man that's with her says, there was there are these Alps called the Simmering Alps, I guess, between Austria and Vienna. And he tells her this story about before there was even a train that could make this impossibly hard climb over the mountains, people started building these railroad tracks without even having a train. That no one was saying that it was good.
Mm,
People started building these railroad tracks because they knew one day the train would be made to do it, and it
mm,
was. So it's kind of along those lines of um, build the train tracks, set it in motion. And so what I did, I'll tell you just a fast little story. What I did, the way I set it in motion was I'm sitting in this bar called the Poets Pub with a bunch of pictures of dead poets on the red velvet walls. It was so depressing. And I just had this vision of like, I want to play on a cruise ship. I thought that would be the coolest thing at that point in my life. I want to play on a cruise ship. And I started researching and I found American Hawaii cruises because I wanted to go to Hawaii and I thought that's where I want to go. And I started doing everything physically possible to make that happen. So I made a little demo tape and I sent it off to them. And in the meantime, I thought, okay, they're going to call me. So I've got to get my charts together. I've got to get the music. I've got to get the outfits. I've got to figure out what happens when you get on. What is it? What is the protocol? I did everything. And as soon as I did that, it put me in motion to be
Mm.
passionate again about everything. And what was amazing was I just thought, okay, I'm putting in motion. Here we go. And I kept waiting for the phone call and it never came. And then I started to feel my whole spirit going down, down, down and getting depressed. And then I just said, okay, you got to look for other places. And I just started to research and, just keep the ball going. But I'll just make this a short story, but out of the blue, one night this guy comes in and he starts singing with me. It's one of those piano bars where you sing along, with the piano player. And he starts singing with me, and I turn to him and I go, "My goodness, you have a great voice. What's your story? Are you a professional singer?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm a singer. I sing on a cruise ship." And I went, "Oh really? How interesting." And he goes, "Yeah, our whole entire crew is at your hotel here for the next 2 weeks because we're in dry dock here in San Francisco." "Oh really? What's the name of your ship?" "American Hawaii Cruises." So the whole entire crew was there, and I was on that ship within 2 weeks. So
Whoa.
that's big time manifestation. Doesn't always happen like that, but that's what happened. And that gig was great until it wasn't.
Hmm.
Again, zigzag.
Yeah. Wow. I'm sitting with, it's always funny how in this podcast people come to bring me a message, and this might have been just the message I needed to hear. And what I was also with is your swimming, which I don't want to miss. And also, what does that give you? And what does water give you? Water is a very interesting medium, and you seem to have spent quite a lot of time in it.
Yes, I've spent my entire life in it, in
Mm.
chlorine, in salt water. Water is my healer. I
Mm.
collect red-headed mermaids, and and I just you should see. I wish I could turn the camera, but I've got this beautiful purple finned mermaid over here and another one over here, and I just pictures of them or ceramics or whatever, and um, so I could say, oh, I must have been a mermaid in another life, but water's my healer. I was put in swimming when I was 6 years old, and it wasn't ever anything that came real easily to me. I mean, I worked really hard. I was never a really star swimmer. Like when you see people in the Olympics, it's like I was never at that level.
Mhm.
But, I get in water and it's just my natural place. It's just everything just flows and it's easy. And I feel like it can dump out that tube, and I need it like I need breathing.
Mm.
I mean,
Mm.
I have to be in water. If I'm not, I mean, at one point I was going to move to Denver, Colorado. It's like, no, I couldn't do it. There's no water. There's mountains. There's no
Mm.
water. So, I mean, I can see water from my house. Yeah, it's my healer.
Mm. That water is very interesting. There's, I think, a movie which is called The Deep Blue, and it's a very interesting one about diving deep. But
Oh,
it's
I
I
think I've
guess
seen, yeah. I
yeah,
cannot go with that. That scares the
no,
patooties out of me.
yeah,
Yeah.
that yeah.
No, I don't want to be holding my breath for 10 minutes. No,
No,
can't do it.
no, no. And what I'm also with is what would you say kind of shaped you and shaped this stamina and curiosity and passion that you have? What do you think is something that you've um th is it something that was a gift that you kind of realized that was a resource in your family, in your upbringing, or is it something that you acquired over time? Um,
Hmm. I'd say acquired over time. And I would tend to think that my positivity, which I'm not always super positive. I mean, I can definitely go into the toilet and the pits, but I think my mother was that way. So I think that really helped a lot. I think I was loved as a child. So I think that that was a really great foundation. Both of my parents were entrepreneurs. So I
Mm.
think that I learned at a very early age, watching my parents and also being stuck in a sport that is all about just you. You know, you might be on a
Mm.
team, but it's an individual um, realization that it's up to you. I mean, I think that's probably I would say that swimming gave me the biggest lesson of my life, which is I'm responsible for everything in my life.
Mm.
You know, I'm responsible for if I wanted to win that medal, I had to work really hard in workouts. I had to show up.
Mm.
I mean, I'm doing a talk right now these days, you know, when I go and speak, all about, you know, life is just about showing up. How do you show up? And I want to show up as a person who is interested and curious. And
Mm.
I think as I've gotten older, you know, I think that's another part of it too, is just I want to be alive. You know, I want to have
Mm.
that life force, and that happens with being curious and asking questions and always learning.
Mm. That's interesting because as I can relate to, I was competing in biology, and I remember sitting in like you sit in front of a blank paper, and yes, there is maybe 300 people in the audience, but my knowledge is not a reflection of what they did. It's always a reflection of what I did and how I show up and what stops me from giving the right or wrong answer, and
That
that
is
was
so
what.
foreign to me what you're saying. It's
Yeah,
so foreign. I mean,
I know.
biology was the one thing I like could not from the life of me pass in school. It just was
Okay.
so hard. That and geometry. Oh my God. So the fact that that's your passion is just that's so interesting to me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for me, it kind of tunes then into everything because for me it was that like understanding life. And that was then the kind of the driving force. It's like, oh, how interesting, how curious.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's
so
what keeps you it keeps you young, you know? I mean, I
it
have a lot of friends
definitely.
that are older than me. I mean, a lot of my friends are in their late 70s and 80s, and I just think that
Mm.
that's one of the things that keeps me in relationship with them, and what keeps them going is their curiosity of life and not letting that age stop them. And I learn a lot from that.
Mm. And I'm wondering, what is it something that you're sitting and struggling with now? Now that because it's often that idea that if you're on the right path, things are perfect almost.
Oh
I
God,
mean,
no.
I know they're not. I know they're not, and that's why I think it's really important for maybe even people who are younger who haven't had that one dream kind of fulfilled. Maybe it's good to hear what it means to get to a place where you wanted to get, and then realize that there are many more places.
Well, to me, I look at life, I mean, well, I used to say I look at life like an onion that you just keep peeling the layers, but I like the idea of I look at life like an artichoke where you peel the artichoke hearts off and then you get to the heart. And that to me is what all of my work is all about, the heart. I mean, on my website, on my albums, a lot of what my songs are about, I have hearts everywhere. And to me, and that's always how I start every one of my retreats. What does your heart have to say? You know, tell me, you know, check in with your heart. And to me, you know, that is what life is about, is that you just keep peeling. So when I was saying to you before, like I'm on this path and I have no idea what's next, I'm at that new growth spurt. You know, I'm in that new zigzag of like, okay, I've been doing this, but this is no longer serving me.
Mm.
Or, you know, it's no longer giving me the same passion because I've been there, done. I've been doing it for so long. And so I'm now peeling away the next layer of going, okay, what is the next, I mean, if I want to say it this way, what is the next greater expression of Karen Drucker? You know, what does
Mm.
that mean? What does that look like? Is it and you know, I mean, I've made 22 albums at this point. Is it doing albums but people don't buy CDs anymore? Is it just doing singles? Is it a new kind of show? Is it, you know, what is it? And
Mm.
so I am, I don't want to say I'm struggling with that because that makes it sound like you're like in the water fighting and going, ah. Um, I'm discerning about it
Mm.
all right now. I'm just discerning what really lights up my heart, what is really next. And like one of the things that I've come up with that I haven't told anybody about, so you're the first, is in our country, we are just having the hardest time. It's just our country is in such an incredible crisis right now. And I and everyone I know is in that place. We're all
Yeah.
freaking out about this election that's going to happen. And so, one of the things that when I got quiet enough to say, what is it that I can do? What sparks me is I'm looking at doing a 6-week Zoom call that would be free for anybody to come. And it would be 3 weeks before our election in November and 3 weeks after. And for an hour, we'll sing. And I'm going to call
Mm.
it I Vote For, and it'll be something different every week. I vote for peace. I vote for compassion. I vote for justice. I vote for, and I'll have guest artists on to sing and maybe someone to
Mm.
do a wonderful prayer. Maybe someone's going to do a meditation, but have it be a place where people for this time in our country, I mean, anyone can join this, in any
Yeah.
place else, but to have it be that that's one little thing I can do. And that interests me. That sparks me to
Mm.
just go, ooh, who could I invite? And how could I do this? And what would it look like?
Mm.
So.
And I think here, I guess it's a personal curiosity. I actually have something that's written here. It says, "What makes your heart sing?" And
So do I. Where's mine? I have it. Yeah. Where's mine? Oh, I have the same. Yeah, it's like right near my piano or something. But yeah, I have the same thing.
But what I am curious about, what helped you to get more and more in touch and be able to hear that voice? Because I guess I struggle on over and over to recognize it, to discern it, to know it's that actual voice and not the voice of fear or something
Right.
that's like. So I guess you have a bit more iterations than me to have a bit more knowledge how to get to it.
Well, interestingly enough, what you're asking me is exactly a workshop I'm putting together. I'm doing a retreat next week that I'm just hired to be there, and I'm doing a 90-minute retreat exactly about what you just asked me. So, one of the things that I do, I truly believe in that line of you teach what you need to learn. And
Mm.
so my class is called Staying Calm in the Midst of It All, or Self Care in Turbulent Times, or something like that. And I'm really looking at like, well, how do we do that? How do we hear our heart? How do we hear what we need to do when we get triggered by something? And so that's really what I'm now investigating in myself and asking people about and having conversations about. And to me, it comes down to, for me personally, I've got to get quiet enough. I have to go to the bay. I have to walk in nature. I have to walk. I mean, walking for me is a big time when I really hear in the morning.
Mm.
And when I'm really busy, what I've discerned ever since the pandemic, when my life just stopped completely and all my gigs were canceled, and I had this time that I was just home, when I don't have so much busy work to do, I can allow that voice to come up. But if I'm racing
Mm.
around, I've said yes to too many things, which is one of my issues. I have a song called NO is My New Yes.
Yes, I love it.
And one of the lines in that, that's like my anthem to myself. And one of the lines in that is, how good is my giving? How authentic, how true when I cheat me just to please you. And so I have had to really embody that line. And when, like, I had some woman call the other day and just practically beg me to come and sing at her, some celebration at her church. And oh, please, and this would have been like really a hard gig for me to do, with how many hours I'm driving and whatever. And to say no was, it's like, it's so hard for me to do. But how
Mm.
good is my giving? How authentic am I going to really be if I show up there and I'm already kind of pissed off because I didn't really want to be there in the first place.
Mm,
My main word with everything I do is authenticity. That's
mm,
that's who I want to show up as, someone who is authentic in my words, in my talks, in my music. And so if I'm doing something that I don't want to do, already I'm being phony.
yeah.
So, I think that the discernment factor, and I'll tell you something, another little gift from the English Channel was when I was the second swimmer in the water, and I was told that if I hear the little whistle go off from the person who monitors all this stuff, I have to just stop and tread water. And what he was saying is that if there is a tanker ship that is coming through, the tanker ship needs to know a mile out that it's going to do a 1 degree change. So, in other words, he can't see you in the water and take the steering wheel and go, oops, like this. It ain't going to happen. And to me, I've used that in my talks and workshops for years, because any little shift we make in our lives, 1 degree, one little teeny degree shift in our lives, sometimes has to be that you think about it so far out that you put it in consciousness first, and it takes that long for everything to start to move in that direction. So, but it first has to happen in consciousness.
Yeah.
So I wrote in my journal this morning about how much happier I am this summer that I've said no to a bunch of things that would have just kept me
Mm,
busy, that I'm actually giving myself some space and time to be able to just hear. And I'm so
mm,
responsible, the professional in me, I'm so
yeah.
responsible that I'm going to answer every email. I'm going to be on time. I'm going to have it together for any talk I'm going to do. I mean, so that part of me is so developed that it completely overrides what we're talking
Mm,
about just being still and quiet and listening for new ideas. I literally have to just like have it be a blank slate for me to start to do that. And so that is, if when you ask like what issues am I kind of dealing with right now, that's it. Because I've said yes
mm.
to things that are, 6 months away, a year away. And
Yeah.
some of those people will call me right now going, oh, we need your talk title now, we need this, we need a description. And then I wind up spending hours and hours at the computer and not at the piano. And so that, I
Mm.
would say, my biggest issue in my life, and this is the other one, is my 18-year-old cat who has dementia and just
Mm.
woke up, and hopefully he will kind of, wait a minute. Okay, wait. Okay, wait. He's stuck. Wait, hold on. Wait. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you have to just deal with that for a moment.
It's
But
fine.
it's just being quiet enough to hear is what I feel.
Mm. So I'm conscious of time, and actually,
We got a little
I'm
bit more time. We're good.
yeah. So I'm wondering, um, I really want to stay with the being quiet enough to hear. Oh, look at him. Is it a him?
uh, it's a him, and
Yeah.
we had two, and the one that was a little bit more like my cat passed a couple of years ago, and this little guy
Mm.
is just hanging in, and it's so interesting because I look at him like I'm getting older, my like I've got bad knees now, I've got kind of arthritis in my knees, and and I'm just seeing like he just uh amplifies just that aging process of like
Mm.
he's just hanging in there,
Mm.
and it's just so interesting to watch, like you just have to keep showing up and just loving him, and through all of his issues, it's a process, I'll tell you.
Mm. And that's something that even when I speak to Robin is that showing up with yourself and with all of yourself. And I'm also wondering, do you when so once you've recorded the songs, do you then sometimes just say, "Oh, just take a moment to like listen and like, do you remember an old song and just put it on just as a reminder?
When I've been going through things, I've had some of my friends say, you know, you should probably listen to a Karen Drucker song. It might help. It's like, shut up. But no, I don't tend to listen to my music. I will if I know I'm going to sing a song in a concert. I'll try to remember
Mhm.
how it goes. But I tend to be more of a person who I write it and move on.
Yeah.
And I can't,
Mhm.
like right now I have a few songs that are not fully done, and I kind of like can't write new ones until those are recorded and
Okay.
like I just want to be done. It's like I'm very quick in that way. It's like I just want to write
Mhm.
it and get it out and be done and move on. Um, but yeah, sometimes I'll listen back and go, "Oh, that was really," I'll listen to really old stuff and just go, "Wow, I sometimes will feel like it really is an example of my spirit speaking to me because I don't remember writing the I don't like that how good is my giving, that line. I have no memory of writing that. It just came out. So
Mhm.
sometimes things are really like a brain dump. It just comes out.
And that's what I'm always curious about creative processes. So for you, one thing is the music and how that comes out, but how are the words coming out? What is that process of like just really getting in touch with that voice?
I tend to do it more lyric first, music second. I'm
Okay.
not that great of a musician that I come up with these great cool things on the piano. I don't do that.
Mm.
I can, if something is a good line, like for example, here's a song I sang this morning I made another video for someone, and I was there was a big prayer, a unity prayer thing online. And their theme for this little conference was, I open my heart to healing in this moment. That was their
Mm.
meditation line. They just had that on everything. And I just took one look at that and went, "Oh, that's a chant right there." So, I open my heart to healing in this moment. And then I came up with, I open my heart to love. I open my heart to healing in this moment. When I open my heart, I am healed. So if I see a line, or if I come up with a line of, like well, a lot of times what I do is I actually say, what is it that I need to say to myself? And when I help people write songs, because I do chanting, writing your own chant online, and I also have done this for cancer patients, where I say, you're going through this thing. What is it that you need to say to yourself every day? And I have them write their own music and their own chant. But a lot of times I'll say, what is it that I need to say to myself today? And it will come down to, like, I have one right now that I'm working on. Everything is working out as it should. I release and I relax into my highest good. I done and then I let it all go, 'cause everything is working out as it should. So like when you were saying you're having bus problems or whatever getting home today, that's what I would start saying to myself. When
Mm.
things looked like they were all in disarray, I would just go, everything is working out as it should. And so
Mm.
I will just, come up with things like that to sing to myself. So
Mm.
in my classes, people will be amazed at how easy it is, and they'll start writing their own little affirmations.
Mm. Oh, I'm sitting with I'm wondering, is there something that a lot through the interviews you've done and retelling your story to yourself and others, that there is something that you kind of had a burning desire to be asked or to tell, but you have never been asked because somehow it
Wow,
missed?
that's a great question. Oh, I got to sit with that one for a second. That's a really good question. I have no idea. Um, I think you're asking great questions today. So I haven't. It's not like I have something that no one's ever asked that I want to talk about. Um, but I will say one thing. I really do believe in um, divine destiny. You know, that it's like when you allow yourself to open to the greater spirit that is within you, that I really love it when things and people just show up. They might not show up right away, you know, but it's like if you have an idea of, I want to do this in my life or whatever, I think that that's what's the most exciting part of life, is that when a book falls out from a bookshelf that was exactly what you had to read, or you meet someone or someone says something to you that you're like, oh my God, I was just thinking that is what's fun. And at the same time, you know, I'm aware for myself of how I would like to dream bigger, you know, and I would like to create more time to be creative and, you know, see my life in a bigger way. But I guess what happens for me, and this is where I look to my friends for help, is that I always feel like, oh, if my music got out in an even higher way, it scares me to think of, oh, that means I have more things coming at me. And I'm a highly sensitive person. Do you know about that whole concept, the HSP? Yeah, highly sensitive person, empath, you know, love being alone. And so a lot of what I've done in my life has been completely opposite of that. And when I tell people I'm HSP and empath, I mean, I need alone, because it's so common that the people will say, oh, if you're coming to our city, oh, you've got to stay with us. That's hell to me. And this one person recently was, oh, but this person has this mansion you can stay in. No, it's like, let me just have my alone time in a hotel. I'm good. You know, but people don't understand that a lot of times. So I think it's interesting that I'm an HSP that has a job that's all about being with people and being really out there. And when you would see my stage show and you'd see me do comedy and how out there I am, there's no way you would guess that that's who I am. But it's another part of me, you know, and that's as natural to me as, you know, I mean, the two sides of me are equally balanced. And when I am equally balanced, that's when I'm happiest.
I can relate to that, because to me there is something about connection that's very nurturing, but also about the space for that to kind of be assimilated and integrated. And if I lose that assimilation, I feel like I lose myself to some extent.
Yeah.
So
And I think it's amazing what you're doing. I mean, with your background and how you've
you.
integrated doing things where you're talking to people and having these interviews, and it's just great. Love it. I think that's what we're all here to do, is just play in different realms and see what feels good and where you feel like you're making a difference. And if it fills your heart up, that's what it's all about.
And in a way, finding our music and our song, however that is expressed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And maybe since you have your music, maybe you want to leave us with a song to part ways.
Let's see here. What do I want to do? You know, actually, I think I'll sing the song I just sang a little bit of. Wait. Go ahead. What had happened? I'll do this. This is a new single that I recorded. That's what I'm doing now these days, is putting that out. So I open my heart to healing in this moment. I open my heart to love. I open my heart to healing in this moment. When I open my heart, I am healed. I open my heart to healing in this moment. I open my heart to love. I open my heart to healing in this moment. When I open my heart, I am healed. I open my heart to healing in this moment, to healing in this moment. I open my heart to love, to love. That line again. I open my heart to healing in this moment. When I open my heart, I am healed. Sing it again. I open my heart to healing in this moment when I open my heart to love. I open my heart to healing in this moment when I open my heart. I am healed. Here's the next part. Open my heart to all the possibilities. I open my heart, and I know when I surrender and trust, breathe in gratitude, I am healed. Open my heart to healing in this moment. I open my heart to love. I open my heart to healing in this moment. When I open my heart, I am healed. I am healed. I open my heart to healing in this moment. Open my heart to love. I open my heart to healing in this moment. When I open my heart, I am healed. When I open my heart, I am healed. When I open my heart, I am healed. 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 I am healed.
Mm.
Healed in all ways, in any ways.
Yeah. And for me, it was coming when I opened my heart, I'm whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your songs. Thank you for you.
Thank you. And to just let your listeners know that that signing up on my email list, I send out a newsletter. Goes out to, I actually have a lot of people in England that get my newsletter. They can't necessarily come live to some of my things, but I do a lot of stuff online. But my website is just karendrucker.com, and signing up on my for my newsletter, I send it out once a month, and I send out a free song and a little essay every month.
Mm.
But I am doing, things online, and then my YouTube channel, all of the free chanting evenings that I've done online are all on my YouTube channel. So even if you're in a different time zone, you can see any of those things, and any videos that I've
Mm.
made are on that. Yeah.
And we're looking forward to having you here.
I hope so. I just have to find a place and whatever, but I would do it. I'm actually looking at doing some Zoom calls with, because I do have quite a lot of people in England that have asked me to do workshops. And so, if I'm
Mm.
on at 11 o'clock in the morning, it's 7 o'clock for you all or whatever, it's like that would work. So,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that too. So lots
Mm.
of discerning questions on my heart to see what's next.
Wow. Well, I wish you to keep that aliveness, whatever you decide to do.
And for you too. I mean, I look at you and you're just sparkling. So this is obviously
Mm.
something that is a gift that you bring to the world. So I thank you for saying yes to
Mm.
doing this.
Mm.
So thank
Likewise.
you for having me. It's so lovely. to be with you.
Mm.